Think you've seen it all? Think again. Today we're diving into 10 sports you've never heard of. You won't believe what's out there. Kabaddi is believed to have originated over 4,000 years ago in ancient India and is still going strong today. The rules are simple but intense. 2 teams of 7 players take turns sending a raider into the opponent's territory. The raider's job is to tag as many opponents as possible and return to their side without getting tackled. Oh, and here's the kicker. The raider has to hold their breath the entire time and repeatedly chant Kabaddi to prove they haven't taken a breath. It's a battle of endurance, strength, and speed all rolled into one. The game lasts for 40 minutes, with 2 20-minute halves, and the team with the most points at the end wins. Famous Kabaddi players like Anup Kumar, Hardeep Narwal, and Ajay Thakur have become household names in India. Thanks to the Pro Kabaddi League, Kabaddi has turned into a high-stakes sport, where top players can earn upwards of $150,000 per season. To put that into perspective, that's about 11 million rupees, enough to fill your fridge with samosas for a lifetime. Kabaddi may not be as internationally recognized as soccer or basketball, but in India, it's as big as cricket. There are more than 100 million Kabaddi players worldwide, especially in South Asia. It's a fast-paced, heart-pumping sport where holding your breath is literally part of the strategy. Next, we have Sepak Takraw, a sport that combines the grace of soccer with the high-flying acrobatics of volleyball. Originating in Southeast Asia in the 15th century, Sepak Takraw is played with teams of 3 who use their feet, knees, chest, and head to send a small rattan ball flying over a net. No hands allowed. Players perform incredible aerial kicks and flips to keep the ball in play, making the game a fast-paced spectacle. Matches are usually played in sets, and the first team to win 2 sets of 21 points is crowned the winner. Some of the best players in the world come from Thailand and Malaysia, with Swebsak Phunsueb being one of the sport's biggest stars. While Sepak Takraw isn't as lucrative as mainstream sports like football or tennis, top players can earn between $10,000 to $20,000 annually. It's not millionaire money, but it's enough to live comfortably in Southeast Asia. Plus, who wouldn't want to get paid to perform acrobatic bicycle kicks? With over 20 million players worldwide, especially in Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, Sepak Takraw is a high-skill sport that deserves more global attention. Quidditch? Yes, you heard it right. Quidditch is not just a fantasy sport from the Harry Potter series. In 2005, a group of college students in the United States decided to bring the magical game to life, minus the flying broomsticks, sadly. Today, real-life Quidditch is played with 2 teams of 7 players who must keep one hand on a broomstick at all times while running. The goal? Throw the quaffle, a volleyball, through hoops to score points, dodge bludgers, dodgeballs, and have the seeker catch the golden snitch, which is a tennis ball attached to the waistband of a neutral player who runs around the field. The game is as chaotic and fun as it sounds. While there aren't any globally famous Quidditch players, yet the sport has a growing community, with teams popping up in countries like the US, UK, and Australia. Quidditch has an estimated 20,000 players worldwide. Though Quidditch is not a professional sport, players have a blast competing in local and international tournaments, and there are occasional small cash prizes. Still, it's more about the love of the game than the paycheck. After all, if you don't make it big as a seeker, there's always that dream job at the Ministry of Magic, right? Until then, enjoy the ride on your not-so-flying broomstick. Now, let's dive into underwater hockey, also known as octopush. Invented in 1954 by a group of British divers who were looking for a way to stay fit during the winter, underwater hockey is exactly what it sounds like. Hockey played at the bottom of a swimming pool. 2 teams of 6 use small sticks to push a lead puck along the pool floor toward the opponent's goal. Each game consists of 2 15-minute halves, and believe me, holding your breath while trying to score is no small feat. It's a game of strategy, breath control, and teamwork. While underwater hockey doesn't have globally recognized stars, it has a dedicated following in countries like the UK, Australia, and South Africa. International tournaments take place annually, but it's mostly an amateur sport. There are around 15,000 players globally. There isn't much prize money in underwater hockey, maybe enough to cover your post-game pizza and pool fees. Still, Still, players do it for the love of the game and the underwater challenge. If you've ever wanted to combine swimming with team sports, this could be your new favorite activity. Just don't forget to come up for air. Zorbing is probably the most fun you can have inside a giant inflatable ball, and it all started in New Zealand in the mid-1990s. The sport involves rolling downhill inside a transparent plastic ball that cushions your ride. Think of it as human hamster ball racing. Zorbing can be done solo or with multiple people inside the same ball, which only adds to the hilarity and chaos. Popular destinations like Rotorua in New Zealand have made zorbing a global phenomenon, attracting thrill seekers from all over the world. Despite its popularity as an adventure sport, zorbing doesn't have any famous players or organized professional leagues. Most participants actually pay to play, with fees covering everything from the ball rental to the post-zorbing cleanup. There are an estimated 10,000 people who regularly participate in zorbing globally, especially in New Zealand, the UK, and the US. But even though you're not going to earn millions in this sport, the experience of rolling down a hill at high speeds inside a giant bubble is priceless, or at least worth a few Instagram posts. So if you're not too worried about rolling in cash, why not give zorbing a try? We're halfway through. How many of these sports did you already know? Drop your number in the comments, and if you're enjoying this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more discoveries. Next up, we have Bossa Ball, a sport that's as bouncy as it is competitive. Invented in Spain in 2004, Bossa Ball is a mix of volleyball, soccer, and gymnastics, all played on an inflatable court with built-in trampolines. Teams of 2 to 5 players use any part of their body, feet, hands, or head to spike the ball into the opponent's side of the court. The trampolines allow for high-flying flips, making each match a visual spectacle. The first team to 25 points wins the set, and matches are typically played as best of 3. While Bossa Ball hasn't produced any internationally famous players yet, the sport has gained a cult following in Europe and South America, with exhibitions held at festivals, beaches, and sporting events. As a relatively new sport, there's not much in the way of prize money. Players usually compete for the love of the game. Around 3,000 to 5,000 people worldwide actively play Bossa Ball, mainly in Spain, Belgium, and Brazil. If you're looking to get rich, Bossa Ball might not be the way to go. But if you want to bounce your way into a good time, this sport will have you flipping with excitement. Imagine ironing your clothes while skydiving or on a mountaintop. Welcome to the world of extreme ironing, a sport invented in 1997 by British adventurer Phil Shaw, also known as steam. The concept is simple. Take a standard ironing board and an item of clothing to the most extreme or unusual location you can find, and then iron it. Competitors have ironed on cliffs, underwater, and even in the middle of busy streets. The more dangerous or creative the setting, the more points you get. While there isn't a huge professional circuit for extreme ironing, the sport has gathered quite a following, with Phil Shaw being considered its legendary figure. While there are no multi-million-dollar sponsorships or leagues, there have been competitions with small cash prizes and media coverage. It's estimated that a few thousand people participate in extreme ironing across the globe, especially in the UK and Germany. But hey, while it might not make you rich, at least your clothes will be wrinkle-free in the most daring ways possible. Buzkashi is a centuries-old sport from Central Asia, primarily played in Afghanistan. It's like polo, but instead of a ball, players compete on horseback to grab and carry a goat carcass into a scoring circle. 2 teams of 10 players battle it out on a massive field, wrestling for control of the carcass while trying to avoid tackles from their opponents. Matches can last anywhere from an hour to an entire day, depending on the competition, and the stakes are high for the players who dedicate their lives to this ancient sport. Buzkashi has produced legendary players like Aziz Ahmad, who has become a household name in Afghanistan. Top players can earn around $30,000 to $50,000 annually from tournament winnings and sponsorships, which is a substantial income in the rural regions where the sport is most popular. In Afghanistan, where the average income is far lower, being a top Buzkashi player can set you apart as a local hero. With thousands of active players, mostly in Afghanistan and neighboring countries, Buzkashi remains one of the region's most iconic and physically demanding sports. Jaya Lai has its origins in the Basque country of Spain and dates back to the 1700s. Played with 2 or 4 players, the goal is to hurl a ball, called a pelota, against a wall using a curved basket called a cesta. The game is fast-paced, with the pelota often reaching speeds of over 180 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest ball sports in the world. Players score points by getting the ball past their opponents, and matches are typically played to 7 or 9 points. In its prime, Jai Alai attracted large crowds, especially in Spain, the Philippines, and parts of the US. Famous players like Francisco Churuca were celebrated for their skill and athleticism. While its popularity has declined in recent years, top players in the sport's heyday could earn up to $150,000 a year. Today, there are around 2,000 to 3,000 active players, primarily in Spain and the Philippines. Though the earnings have decreased, Jai Alai remains a thrilling and culturally significant sport for its dedicated players and fans. Cheese rolling is one of the quirkiest sports on this list, and it's been a tradition in Gloucestershire, England since the early 1800s. The rules? Simple. Participants chase a wheel of cheese down a steep hill, and the first person to cross the finish line wins the cheese. While it sounds easy, the hill is so steep that most people tumble head over heels as they chase the cheese at breakneck speeds, sometimes resulting in spectacular crashes. There are no famous cheese rollers, except maybe the cheese itself, and there's no prize money either. The winner gets to take home the 9-pound wheel of double Gloucester cheese, which is probably worth more in pride than in cash. Only a few hundred people participate in the main event each year, but it has gained international attention, with spectators flocking to watch the carnage. If you're not in it for the money, but for the sheer joy of rolling down a hill in pursuit of cheese, this is the sport for you.